Hey everyone, welcome back. So last time we dug into what really makes an AI company an AI company. But that brings up the billion-dollar question, right? How do these companies actually make any money? Well, it's not nearly as simple as you'd think. In fact, pretty much all the old rules for pricing software, they're completely broken. Stick around and we're going to show you exactly why.
So let's just dive right in. How do you turn this incredible, world-changing technology into a business that can actually, survive? Because if you get the pricing wrong, even the most amazing AI on the planet can go bankrupt. We're about to open up the new rulebook for AI monetization and figure out which of these models are actually built to last. Here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to see exactly why the old software playbook just doesn't work anymore. Then, we'll dive into the brand new strategies that are really winning. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of the economics, see how all the big players stack up, and then, of course, leave you with some key takeaways you can actually use.
All right, let's kick things off with something we all know, or at least have heard of, software as a service, or SaaS. You can think of this as our baseline, our before picture, before we jump headfirst into the wild, kind of complicated world of AI pricing.
Yeah, we're all super familiar with this model, right? You pay a flat monthly fee, you get access to the software. And for businesses, this model is beautiful because it is so predictable. The money comes in like clockwork, and once the software is built, the cost to add one more customer is practically zero. High margins, happy days. But, and this is a big but, it's all built on one fundamental assumption, an assumption that AI completely shatters.
And this slide right here says it all. With classic SaaS, your costs are stable, they're flat. But with an AI-native product, every single thing a user does, every question they ask, every image they create, costs you real money. It costs you in computing power. This is what we call the inference cost. It's the direct, variable expense of actually running the AI model for a user. It's a whole different ballgame.
And here is where things can get really dangerous. See, in the SaaS world, a power user is your absolute best friend. They're super engaged, they love your product, they're not going anywhere. But in the AI world, that same power user can bankrupt you. That sharply rising red line shows that their heavy usage sends your costs through the roof. And that is the fundamental problem that's forcing a totally new way of thinking about pricing.
Okay, so if the old way is broken, what's the new way? How are companies solving this? Well, let's break down the three main strategies that AI companies are using to price their intelligence and, hopefully, stay in business.
First up, you've got API pricing. The easiest way to think about this is like your home's electricity bill. You just pay for what you use. That's it. This is the model that companies like OpenAI use when they sell access to their GPT models to developers. It's great for the AI company because their revenue perfectly tracks their costs. They can't lose money on a user. But for the customer, it can be a little terrifying. I mean, imagine getting a surprise $5,000 electricity bill.
Okay, next is probably the most popular one you've seen, the hybrid model. Think of this like your cell phone plan. You pay a flat fee every month, and you get a certain amount of data included. If you go over, maybe you pay a little extra. This is exactly what products like ChatGPT Plus or Midjourney are doing. It's kind of the best of both worlds, right? The customer gets that predictable bill they like, and the company protects itself from someone going crazy and creating a million images. The trick is, you have to be really smart about where you set those usage limits.
And finally, there's the pure usage-based model. This is the model that basically built the modern cloud. Think Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud. You're not paying a subscription, you're just paying for every little bit of computing power you use. In many ways, it's the most fair model out there. But it's also the most volatile. If the cost of the underlying computer chips goes up, guess what? So does your bill.
So which one is the right one? Well, this table kind of lays out the trade-offs. As you can see, if you're a company and you need to protect your margins, meaning your revenue has to scale perfectly with your costs, then API or pure usage-based is fantastic. That's why they work so well for developers and heavy infrastructure users. But the predictability for the customer is low. If you're a regular person or a business used to SaaS, you're probably going to prefer the predictability of a hybrid model, even if it means the company takes on a bit more of the risk. There really is no single one-size-fits-all answer here.
Okay, now that we know the different pricing models, let's look under the hood. What are the actual numbers, the key variables, that every single AI company needs to be absolutely obsessed with if they're going to have any chance of winning this game?
This chart right here, this is the AI startup death spiral. Everybody gets so excited about those two shiny green bars, user growth and revenue growth. They look great, but what they don't see is that red bar, their profit margin, is quietly sinking lower and lower because the cost of serving all those new users is eating them alive. It's a classic trap, winning the battle for growth, but completely losing the war for profitability.
So, the key to survival is mastering these 5 levers. First, training cost. How do you pay back the millions, sometimes billions, you spent just to build the model? Second, that inference cost we talked about. What does each user query cost you? Third and fourth are the business classics, your customer acquisition cost and lifetime value. And finally, and this one is crucial, infrastructure efficiency. Can you make your AI models run faster and cheaper over time? Get these right, and you're golden. Get them wrong, and you're toast.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about power. Because in the AI world, not all companies are created equal. And where you sit in the overall food chain has a huge impact on how much you can actually charge for your product.
This is the AI power pyramid. Way down at the bottom, you have the chip makers like NVIDIA. Their power comes from pure scarcity. They have something everyone needs and not enough of it. Above them, you have the cloud providers, AWS, Azure, who have leverage because of their massive scale. Then you have the foundation model companies, whose leverage comes from the insane amount of capital it takes to build what they've built. And all the way at the top, you've got the app developers, who build their leverage through distribution and trust with you, the end user.
So after all that, what's the bottom line? What should we take away from this? Here is a quick cheat sheet for everyone playing in the AI ecosystem, from the founder in a garage to the investor on Wall Street.
Okay, founders, stop trying to copy and paste the SaaS playbook. It will not work. You have to relentlessly model your compute costs. Investors, stop getting distracted by shiny vanity metrics like user growth. Dig into the boring but critical numbers like gross margin. And for all you enterprises buying this stuff, get ready for a new type of contract. The days of simple flat-rate software licenses are over. It's all about usage now.
If there is just one single thing you remember from our entire conversation today, please let it be this. SaaS sells access to a finished product. AI sells computation, raw, variable processing power. It's not just a new feature, it's a totally new commodity. And that simple shift changes absolutely everything. So, at the end of the day, what's the real secret to success in the age of AI? It's not about having the flashiest demo or the buzziest launch. The companies that are still standing in 10 years will be the ones who master the complex, ever-changing economics of intelligence, the ones who perfectly align their pricing with their costs.
We've covered a ton of ground today, but there is still one huge question hanging in the air. In this brand new AI economy, who is actually capturing the value? Who's getting rich? Well, join us next time as we follow the money all the way up the value chain to find out.
So now I want to know what you think. If you were starting an AI company from scratch tomorrow, which of these pricing models would you choose? Would you go for the predictability of the hybrid model or the pure alignment of a usage-based one? Drop a comment below and let us know. And remember, in the age of AI, the price is always right, as long as you're smart enough to figure it out.